shiny.
Oh, really? What you got?
I feel pretentious.
What, you got a McLaren?
Lexus sedan. A Lexus
Oh,
sedan. It runs
Oh,
against
pretty.
my grain, but all right.
where'd you get it?
It is. It's very red. It's like cherry red. Yum.
Oh,
Lexus of Northborough. They're my guys.
Okay, we are live on
Anyway.
YouTube. When you are ready, you can call the meeting to order, Marguerite.
All righty. It is 11:01. This is September 16th, 2024, and I am calling the meeting of the Southborough Library Board of Trustees to order. The first order of business, we are virtual. The first order of business is approval of the minutes from August 19, 2024. And Jane, if you are on, is she on?
I am
Let's
on.
see.
I'm trying to,
Do you
it
want
says
to
it's,
speak first to this since you are editor
it
here?
says it's loading my video, but I see a black rectangle. So can you hear me? I am here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I went through them
Yep.
and
Very-
highlighted in red the changes that I proposed. So if you read it, you'll definitely see the red. I know, Mary read it. Comments, thoughts?
There's
Yeah.
only one, it said fun, and I think it meant run the meeting. But other than that, of the changes, it looked good.
I have a quick question under halfway
was
down the
under-
page.
Sorry,
Okay,
David.
why don't we do
Hold on, time
one
out.
why don't we do one at a time? David? Yeah.
A quick question, and I should know the answer to this, but I don't. Halfway down the page under FY24 budget, in the first line is the word consortial. I should know what that means, but how do we use that word?
Do you see it in red? I changed that to consortia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't
Okay.
have that version to look at? The edited one?
This is the one that I pulled up over the
I
weekend.
sent it out an hour ago with the Zoom link, David.
Okay.
No, Jane was on
Shame
the
on
case.
me.
That's now consortia, right?
Where did you
That's a
say,
good catch.
Mary,
All right,
what, or Amy, what was it, the other thing?
Under Strategic Planning Forum, under that subheading, the second line, it says meeting fun by Oscar, but Amy's proposing that it should say meeting run by Oscar.
It might have been fun too, but I was thinking the intent was run.
I heard it was fun.
Who's Oscar, by the way?
Yes. That was the
Oscar-
other thing. Does Oscar have a last name?
Okay, so I think before anytime Oscar appears, we should put MLS consultant, because he was the Massachusetts Library System consultant who ran the first strategic planning forum.
What's his last name?
He has a hyphenated last name. It is, if you give me a moment, I gotta go in my email. I'm gonna also probably say it wrong.
Yeah, it should definitely have a last name.
Lanza
Otherwise, it sounds like
Galindo.
a cartoon character.
It's Oscar Lanza hyphen Galindo.
Wait a minute, what's his first name? Oscar?
Oscar.
Okay, so go say that again, please.
It's Oscar Lanza, Lanza hyphen Galindo, Galindo.
Okay, cool. That's better then.
And his
If you
official
say
title is MBLC consultant, right?
MLC,
It's MLS.
MLS.
He is, yes, it just says
Oh,
consultant.
MLS, sorry.
Yeah. I think he's
All right, so that all needs to appear the first time.
okay, I'll put that in. Mary,
There
you've
was
been waiting so
also-
patiently.
No. So I just wanted to say two things. So Jane, my apologies. I didn't realize that the red edits were yours and not a resent version from Ryan. So yes, I read over them. I thought they were a final version, and that's why I was questioning it. But this makes much more sense. And secondly, within those edits, I believe under the section where you're talking about the collaboration with the book club for the Southborough Youth and Family Services, I think there was still another section about a question mark about time and date and how frequent. So I wasn't sure if that needed to get left in or if those were questions you wanted to have answered.
No, I'm sure it does need to go in, but why don't we go and just start at the beginning? Like, wait,
Okay.
say what you
Jane, why don't
said.
you do it
Where?
since you did
No,
the
no,
edits?
I already did the
Yeah.
edits, and they were in red, so you would see them, but,
Right.
You want
so
me to
I'm
pull up the
sorry.
minutes do you want me to pull up the minutes on the screen? Do you want to go through the minutes?
I don't, I already did.
No.
So under
Okay.
the only thing, the only thing I'm calling attention to is towards the bottom of page 2, there's a headline under outdoor chess set, then it's Southborough Youth and Family Services Program Update. You
Oh,
have
right,
some notes in there with question marks that I was thinking you might want to have somebody answer.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
let
just
me,
saying, does it take place every Tuesday, or was this a one-time meeting? It just seemed unclear.
it will take place every month. I can clarify that in the minutes. It will be,
Okay, then just say every Tuesday at 4
Every
p.m.
Tuesday.
monthly, right?
Yeah,
yes,
Tuesday at
it's,
4 p.m. wasn't, for me, I'm thinking it wasn't clear enough.
Is it a one shot? Right, right.
Yes, so every Tuesday at 4 p.m.,
Yep. Easy enough. Yeah.
correct? Yes, cool.
No,
The
Okay,
other book
gonna-
club reading roundtable.
it's
not
not
every
every,
Tuesday.
No, it's every once a month.
it's gonna be once a month.
so first Tuesday, third
Yeah.
Tuesday, which is it? What is it? You just have to pay attention, or?
Yes, no, hold on, sorry. Let me get to the calendar. I'm not that good. I can't remember which Tuesday it falls on. It is gonna be, it's not in September. It's gonna be the second Tuesday of each month.
Okay, so that's easy. The second Tuesday of each month. And then the last sentence on that, the other book club reading roundtable, I would just say, will no longer meet.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think the question marks that Jane put in is because she was trying to clarify. So I'll just remove the
course,
question
yeah.
marks.
Yep,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Okay, so the next one also interesting. The vice president of Friends and Sam Stivers attended the first meeting. Fun by Oscar.
yeah, well, yeah, we can change his name, but it's Ron, apparently.
Oh, run by Oscar, right. Now,
Okay,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I just want to say, in minutes, I am used to seeing a last name of an official, not a first name.
Yeah. So
So
we'll
Yes.
I
do,
would use Lanza, whatever his name is.
I think
Right,
we're gonna
we-
do MLS consultant Oscar and his full hyphenated last name. I also, if it's okay with everybody, it says it identifies Sam by name, but not the vice president of the Friends. So we will put in Sandy Pochapin because she's the
Mhm.
vice president of the Friends. So I'll add that in as well.
okay, so you
Mhm.
put Oscar's run by MLS consultant
so
Oscar,
Yeah.
what?
Right. Lanza
It's
hyphen
Oscar
Gilberto, whatever it is. So
Lanza
the other,
Lands,
yep.
hyphen Galindo.
Okay, so here's the drill. Once the person's full name is used in a document, thereafter you simply use the last name. One time he gets MLS, ML, whatever it is, consultant, his full name, and then every time after that, just the last name. But I wouldn't use the first name because that's usually reserved for children.
yes, I agree, but we'll leave his title in there. MLS
Yes,
consultant Lanza
definitely.
Galindo, and who's the vice president of the Friends?
Sandy Pochapin.
Sandy?
Yeah, Pochapin.
Vice President of
Okay.
the Friends, and Sam Stivers, Select Board Member.
Sam Cypher. Okay, yeah. Wait a second.
Okay, are we all set?
Yes, do we have any other things?
On the minutes? No. Not from,
No. All right, do I have, okay, do I have, thank you, Jane and Ryan and everyone else. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
So
I'll
moved.
make a motion to
So
accept.
moved. Second.
Okay, so that's, okay, yes, okay, that was,
for the
David,
purposes,
moved and
of the
Jane
minutes,
seconded.
David won.
All right.
He was the first one who said it. So we're gonna say David made the motion, okay? Because Mariana
David
needs
moved,
that.
Jane seconded, okay, all right. Now we'll do a roll call vote. Landry, aye.
Davis, aye.
Yes, Donnie,
Ekberg, aye.
Tinty, aye.
Okay, we've got it. All right, the motion carries, and the minutes are approved. Now, our second item on the agenda is the director's report. Brian, take it away.
Before we go to the director's report, I want to note that we have two members of the public in the audience. There's Sam Stivers and Deb Demuria. Okay. All right. Now let's
right.
go to the thrilling director's report.
We always like it. We do.
A lot of yeah, there's a lot of outreach updates because we've talked about that. So we now have a schedule where we'll be going every other month to Colonial Gardens. We're also trying to go directly with the Board of Health. So I'll probably go to those meetings at least the first two for the rest of the year, but potentially all of them. And then I have reconfirmed about going to Hotel Stay America. The first visit will happen this week. So we are still trying to
Great.
iron out some of the details, but I think when Mariana and I go there for the first time, that will help give us a better sense of what to bring and what the expectations are. So, but I've emailed a lot with the coordinator. Sorry, go ahead, Janet.
I read someplace in the community advertiser or something that the kids at that place are going to be allowed to go to the public schools in Westboro.
Yes, so that
I didn't know whether that affected your schedule.
So Janet, that is part of the reason. I think trustees who I've seen one-on-one over the past few weeks have asked me about updates on this. And we were getting a lot of sort of confusing information from the coordinators only because I guess this was in the works and they thought that it only just got confirmed. So we were given that information, I believe on Friday, that the kids were going to start going to the school. So it doesn't not affect what we were planning because it does look like we're going to be going after school, but I don't think the coordinators know how a post-school environment is going to affect whether or not, because the kids would essentially, we're getting there at 3, they'd have to like get home from school if they're middle and high school students and then directly go to our program. So we don't, because it's going to take place at an after school time, because they're first going to the school. We don't know if they're going to attend or not want to attend or do homework. So this is part of that. We've got to figure it out once we're there. And then we're only going every other week. So we'll go this week and then that'll give them another week to kind of get on a school rhythm. And I think the second time we go, we'll start being able to have conversations with the people about whether or not we can include the older kids. Our focus is going to be on the younger, potentially non-school age children to start.
Okay.
Sorry, I used a lot of words, and that sentence is really what you guys needed,
What
which I think is we're going to focus on the younger kids
What about
first.
the parents, Ryan?
The parent will also have activities for the parents
What
if they
about the
want to.
parents?
Yeah, so like we're bringing puzzles, we're bringing a couple things that families could do together, you know.
That's nice. I think the parents, the kids will probably pick up English fairly fast, but the parents, it's another situation. So they may be interested in English skills too. So books,
But just
puzzles,
going
whatever
back to
would be
the
good.
Colonial Gardens thing, I will say we had to double check, but Taylor West, who's the director of the Board of Health, she was previously the nurse, and she's now the director. We did check to see if she could sign off on the forms, because there needs to be a medical professional who signs off on the Worcester Talking Books application forms for people to participate in the program. And Taylor is authorized. We checked with legal counsel to sign those forms on behalf of people. She doesn't have to directly be their physician. It just has to be from a medical professional. So that's part of, we're trying to figure out, Taylor may not come with us all the time, but if people want to participate in the program after we do our pitch, and then they want Taylor to sign the form, we're trying to see if Taylor can come with us. It might not make sense for her to do that the first time or every time. So we're coming up with a schedule, maybe based on when she can come. So, and we're going.
So I
we're
thought
still-
Talking Books was for the visually impaired.
So it's
Brian, I thought Talking Books was for the visually impaired.
it's for visually impaired, but it's also for people who have arthritis, because the player is very tactile. So if you have trouble holding up a book, that's what the presentation I went to at the MLS conference, when they talked about this, they said increasingly it's become like more popular with people who have trouble holding books up, like because it's too heavy.
And they provide the players as well as the
They provide the
books.
player and they provide the cartridges that go in the player. So they provide the books,
Right. I mean, Talking Books, right.
talking books. Yeah. So
That
it's
sounds
like
great. Any
an
questions
audio.
on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention?
Let's do the Red Cross thing last, because that's the most complicated.
Okay.
I'll just give an update. The strategic, so I guess I have another question for you guys. This, I did double check on Friday. I did a lot of like round robin on this because I was working very hard on the strategic plan. I did not have a draft as of this meeting to give to you guys, but it is in the works. A significant progress has been made on it. The plan is supposed to be approved October 1st. So what I would like to propose is that I'm pretty sure I can get you a draft next week to review. And then I'd like to have a meeting on Monday, September 30th with all of you, explicitly to review the plan, and then for you to, as a board, approve the plan.
I'll be away.
Okay, Janet, is it okay if you and I connect one-on-one before that meeting? And then
Yep.
if you have any feedback on the plan, I can communicate that at the next meeting.
Perfect.
Okay, but it'll kind of be like,
Good.
if you guys have one-on-one feedback, we can kind of talk that out after I give you the draft, and then we can kind of go from there. A lot of the plan is going to be sort of just an amalgam of all the different public input we got, and then it's sort of conclusions based on that. It's going to look very similar to previous strategic plans. We're using the same format. Oscar, who ran that forum, he created a 4-page document, which is going to go into the appendices, but we're putting the building survey, the strategic, the building forums, which there were 3, and then we're doing the 2 separate strategic planning forums, of which there were 2. So we have a lot of, in the methodology area, it dates all of those things, it talks about all of this. So the document will be probably 20 something pages, I'm gonna guess, when it's all said and done. And then we need this approved, I'll say specifically to be able to get MBLC grant funding. So that includes the LSTA Direct program. We've gotten 3 of those in the last few years. And then also the construction funding, which is what makes it in particular important. And then it also helps us formulate our annual action plan. So you'll kind of see that. If anybody has questions about this or hasn't reviewed a previous strategic plan, I have been having the staff kind of help me collate the data, and it has been helpful for them to review the previous strategic plan. So I can send that to you guys. Just email me if you have questions about this, and I'm happy to send that off. Again, this going to look it's going to have a building slant, obviously, because so much of our public input over the last year was about the building. But there was some general feedback we got from the strategic planning forums that's going to be integrated as well. So it's a big deal. I'm sorry that I didn't have things ready by this meeting, but I do need the extra 2 weeks to get you a draft. It just, we didn't do the last forum until the first week of September. And then I will say I was sick and I was out for part of this. So that definitely delayed stuff for me. So I'm sorry.
Okay, so Ryan, I'm gonna say one, you've done a fabulous job on this. Two, what time do you want us to meet? Because the 30th of September at 7 p.m. at night is also the special town meeting.
I'd like to
So
meet
fairly
keep the
early in
same.
the morning to sign
Yeah.
off on this, would
Yeah,
you?
I'd like to keep the same rhythm where we're doing it at 11, if that's okay. And then
Okay.
honestly, I don't even
Is that
think we
okay
should
with
do.
everyone? Janet aside?
Yeah.
Mary?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
okay.
I just have a quick question to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So Ryan, you're going to send us this draft. We are all going to review it individually and then get back to you with feedback about it individually.
Yeah,
And then on Monday is when you're going to send that renewed draft to all of us for the first time. And then we're
No.
just going to, okay.
no,
Or for
what
the
I'd
second
like-
time, I should say.
Yeah, so ideally, right, I'll give you, this is good. Mary has to keep me honest here. So I'd like to give you a draft by the evening of Tuesday, the 24th. Okay?
Great,
So that's a
yes.
Tuesday.
Yep.
Then I would like feedback from you guys up until the 27th. And
Yeah.
then on the 27th, end of day, like so around 4 to 5, that's when I'd like to send you out the revised version. So basically my final draft. We will still be able to make changes within the document, but it depends on how long of a meeting you guys want to have.
I just want to make sure that you get the approvals you need on September 30th and that we're not leaving any revisions major to that date. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So generally, I will say trustees don't look at the document item by item and start suggesting revisions because
Great.
I know we do that with the minutes and we do that, like, we're going to be talking about a volunteer policy, which is a little
Yeah.
bit different. The plan, you're going to be able to go to the ancillary data. You're going to see where we got the conclusions from. And again, the plan is not meant to be all inclusive. It's meant to create a roadmap for what the library will be doing for the next 5 years. And again, we kind of know what we're going to be doing for the next few years because
Yeah.
we're going to be very focused on the building. And even if we don't get the MBLC construction grant, the idea is to reapply, which would probably be in a 5-year time frame. So again, it's going to be kind of, I would say, the priority item in particular, but we did want to integrate some ideas about outreach because we're ramping up outreach efforts this year, and this would be the first year of the plan. And then we're also looking at ancillary program and services. Honestly, the conclusions about programs and services, just to give you guys a spoiler, is that we kind of maintain the consistency of what we're doing now. The feedback we kind of got at the strategic planning forums was that people generally like the level of programming and our focus on young adult programming in particular that came out of the second forum that I hosted. And when we did the start, stop, continue, there was no feedback on what we should stop doing, which I thought was kind of interesting. Even though there was less people at the first forum, there was, I would say, more constructive criticism, which was helpful because there wasn't that much of it in the second forum. So I'm giving a lot of background, but I want you guys to kind of know this as you're reading the plan. And then again, if reading previous strategic plans does kind of help you to get a rhythm of what this is like. And MLS also has on their strategic planning page, they have a bunch of examples from other libraries. So if you want to see a really fancy one, you can go to the Forbes Library in Northampton. They have like a massive document and they included like pictures on every page. They paid a lot for it. And I will say, I'm putting this one together. So that's kind of, you're going to kind of get my take on it. So it won't be as fancy, sorry, but it will be robust and it will have, I think, the
Good. We don't want to
information.
look too glossy. We don't want to look slick, Ryan. That's
Yeah,
good.
it won't be slick. That's a good,
Okay, sounds
uh,
good. Thank you. Okay.
So the
Other
30th at 10
items in the
o'clock, is that
director's
correct?
30th at 11.
11.
At
Yeah.
11 o'clock, thank you, got it.
Sorry, it's the same day as town meeting. I apologize about that, but this will be quick. It'll be a review and then you guys vote and then the meeting's over. Sound good?
Yes, and thank you for doing that, Ryan. That's good. Any other items in the director's report? I am ready for the Red Cross box discussion.
Okay.
If we're up to
So
there.
just a quick update on hiring. We are planning on, the job closes this week on the 19th, both jobs. We're hiring a technician and a page. So I was negligent. I didn't tell you guys we were hiring in the last meeting, even though I think a lot of you knew this was coming up because we were looking at replacing some of the library pages that left. At present, we only have one library page. I don't know. We're going to conduct the interviews. We're going to see what people's schedule availability is. And then I don't know how many people we're going to be suggesting. We're looking at hiring at a minimum one new technician and one new library page, but it may be more, depending on if the interviews are successful and we feel that people would be a good fit. So specifically with the pages, we may hire two because we had two leave. So the existing page is taking on more and she's in college now. So we feel pretty comfortable with her doing that at present. So that just is an update on the hiring. I will come back in the October meeting, probably with recommendations for appointments. So we can talk more about that. But for people who are not familiar with the process or who need a refresher, as we all do, is that Kim and I are going to conduct these interviews. Then we have to make a recommendation to all of you, and then you have to appoint the employees that we recommend. So they don't actually become employees until the trustees confirm those appointments. So that my plan is to do that at the regular October meeting, which is just gonna, staffing is gonna be more tight. I think many of you have come in and you've seen me staffing desks. It will just be like that for a little while, in particular in the morning, which is when we're looking to hire this new technician. So.
Sounds good.
Red Cross
Thanks.
box. You want to go to the Red Cross box? Does anybody have questions about the hiring? Or are we good? Okay. Red Cross box. So I did contact the contact and she came back and said they would give money to the library if we kept it. There's no place for the box to go. And so I think it would have to get removed from Southborough altogether if this was the case. And would we accept a donation? I said typically the library doesn't accept donations like this, but I could talk to you, bring the information back, and then I can also talk to the Friends group about whether or not the Friends would accept a donation. So I did know the first question. I think I talked to some of you just mentioning this, that this was going to come up in this meeting. And the number one question was, how much would they donate? So I did get an answer to that question on Friday. And they said it would be around $500 annually. So that's not nothing. So that's, I wanted to throw this back out to you and see if what you guys want to do.
How much
Well,
is
I have a,
the,
I have a,
um,
go
so-
ahead,
Okay,
Amy,
so-
but I have a comment, but go ahead.
sorry. I just want to know how much it is.
Okay, so let's do Amy spoke first, then Jane, then Janet. How's that? Amy, go for it.
How much is it to level it?
Yeah, that thing.
I don't know because I talked to Jane and I talked to DPW about this, and they said that we would have to explore that independently. DPW is not going to help, or we can talk to John Parent, and then
Okay,
he would probably
Jane.
come up with a cost.
Okay. And Jane, how about you?
Well, that was going to be my comment, and I am a lot frustrated with DPW because I sent, well, just quickly, Ryan and I met with Bill Cundiff, who's the DPW head of DPW, in July, and we listed a whole bunch of things that he was going to take care of, or else he was going to have his landscapers, J&J Landscaping, take care of. And only one of them, I'm digressing a little, only one of them has been done, and now it's September. And that is he took down a dead tree on the curb there, but he left the stump. As far as the Red Cross box
Jane,
was,
can I just butt in for a minute?
why?
Yeah, the box thing is one thing, but you're on agenda item 6 now, which is follow up on library grounds request. Do you want to lump that in with the box,
Oh,
or?
sure, no. Anyway, I'll stop. The box, he washed his hands of it, and I think, well, it's up to everybody, but just because the Red Cross can't find another place to put it, yes, they're offering us $500, but now we have to go out and find someone else, not DPW, to put something to level it. And we voted last meeting that we didn't want it anymore. So I'm just throwing that out there. But the idea of getting $500 is very
Okay.
tempting. But I'm less than excited if you ask me to figure out how to do that. Because
Unless
I'm
they
trying
plant
to,
ivy
I'm
on it. Yes, okay.
I'm trying to get the obvious things done, and I'm getting crickets from Bill Cundiff. So don't ask me to do that. How's that? I
Okay, I
understand.
hear you totally. No, aesthetically pleasing, the Red Cross box is not. Okay. Janet, what did you want to say?
It was my same question. Was the money going to be able to cover leveling the box? And it sounds like it's even more complicated than just the financial impact of it. So, yeah,
Well, here's another part of it, and Mary, I'll get to you in a second. Do we want to build a concrete slab there? That's the other question. My thought is, it's not a good look. But can we help
not
the Red
lovely
Cross out?
anyway.
One, Ryan, how
We're,
much traffic does that box get, right?
there are two other donation boxes within like a 2-mile limit. There's one at Pilgrim Church. There's one at the
Mhm.
transfer station. And I'm sorry to Red Cross, but we really want it taken down.
You
This
know,
is more
and
this is more hassle than it's worth,
This-
in my opinion.
and I don't want to, I'm sorry, Mary. I
Can
just want
I-
to say, I'll echo Jane's sentiments only because the discussion when this was first pitched to us was that it was going to be temporary. And I think there was some concern that this would end up becoming a permanent fixture, which is exactly kind of where the discussion that with
Yeah.
the rep is going. And then, you know, they're offering money now. They didn't do that until we talked about taking the box away. So I don't think that's great either. But I would just say if there was no other place to donate material, that I think would lend itself to more of a concern on my part. But Pilgrim Church is like the box is within walking distance from the library. So I would just say that I know it's more visible where we are from the road, but I think we could refer people there if there was questions about where to donate. Sorry, Mary.
Well, it's a different
Cut you off.
agency that's doing that collecting. It's a different organization that's doing the collecting at Pilgrim.
Okay.
It's that involves turning it over for cash. But
There's
the other
something wrong
question
with
is,
my
who's the Red Cross point person that you're talking to, Brian? Who is that person?
Jane
Her
Osborne.
name is Joan Osborne, and I don't know if she works for the Red Cross or not. I really don't know her relationship. I was referred to her from the town because she had contacted the townhouse about having been there, and they said no.
Like Vanessa? Yeah.
I think
Do you have a phone number
Katie
for
Berry.
her?
I could ask for
Okay.
one.
Would anybody mind if I just, okay, with the permission of the trustees, would anybody mind if I just made a phone call to her and passed along our concerns about that and asked them if they can do anything about, one, putting it on a more reasonable setting for us? And I guess the question is, even with a concrete base, which in my opinion would be a problem because at some point, I mean, it's a permanent piece of something down there. It's not exactly, I mean, Jane is working hard to make the grounds look lovely, and then clunk, there's this thing there with rust on it. Tell Joan Osborne what our concerns are and see if there's any other place she can think of. I can't believe there's no other place in the town. But would anybody mind if I just made a call to her, Janet?
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
it's like they've made it our problem. And I think we have to stop having it be our problem and just say, no, I wouldn't, because what are you gonna do? If she says, no, there's no other place, you're gonna feel compelled to have it. I feel like that into
I'll
the
just say the
the
trustees
parking lot
don't want
already
it.
is the
Right.
dumping ground. You know, we get trucks down there and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I think I would just make it a hard no.
We're also supposed to get 2 electric car chargers down there. You are aware of this, right?
Yes, another
That
concern.
was going to be
That was the
my
Mary
point as
question.
well.
Where are you
No,
gonna
it was
have a
just
Red Cross
I want to know
box?
about the money, and I want to know about who's going to, if they can pay for the concrete, but more so than that, I don't think it's in our interest to do anything that sounds permanent, because we have so much influx on our grounds potentially in the next few years.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe the thing to say would be we're planning a renovation. It's probably going to take that part of it's probably going to disrupt that, and it won't be usable for a box anyway. So there it is.
And the
But-
more
so
appropriate
Ryan,
place
have
would
you
be
been in touch with
transfer station or townhouse, not, just because we're in the center of town
the
shouldn't be
transfer station? Has the Goodwill bin.
right.
Yeah, the
But I
transfer
mean, just
station
because
has
we're
the
in the
Goodwill
center of
bin.
town, there's a plus and minus to that. But we want it to look nice in the center of town. Although,
Yeah.
yes, it's visible, and it's
Right.
visible, and it looks like whatever.
I keep saying Joan, and her name is Jane Osborne. So I have
Okay.
asked, I just
All right.
emailed her asking her for her phone number so that Marguerite could follow up. I'm getting the sense from the board that we want to stick with the original vote, which is to remove it. So I think Marguerite can communicate that in the phone conversation, and then I'm happy to follow up with her. I don't know what the timeline for removal of the bin is going to be, so it might be a while before it happens.
We're
But
gonna
I
have to
think
nag them, I bet.
I will say that my inclination was just to stick to the answer no, because to be blunt, I don't want it either. I think Janet's sentiment about how this has become our problem is sort of sticking. I mean, I think it was nice that we temporarily put it up, and then we exceeded the time frame that we agreed to by quite a lot. So it's not like we haven't tried to be a team player here. I just, now is the point where they're going to come back and say, do you want this permanently? And our answer seems to be no, right? So
You could say if they would like to give a donation based on the fact that we've held it for them for so long, that would be appreciated. But
I don't think that's gonna.
I know.
Yeah.
I think we need to say, and it's accurate, we're going to have a lot of that. That area is in flux right now, and it may be in flux for the next 5 years. So they'd probably do better for themselves to put it someplace else. I'm racking my brain to think of another place to suggest,
Wait,
but I'm
hold
not
on.
coming up with anything. So
Jane is
Marguerite. It's
Jane,
not our
you have Van
problem.
Gogh in the back of
Not
your.
our
It's not our problem.
is if we accept it,
Right,
but yeah,
right.
no.
So don't rack your brain for that. Use it for other things that matter to the library. Just an idea.
Is it Cezanne behind you, Jane,
It's Van
or
Gogh. You were right the first time.
just it's nice? It's nice.
Better than what my room looks like.
All
so.
right, thank you. Anyway,
I
okay,
had
so
my-
we'll let that
I had
go
my
and
So
let
IT
Ryan
guy
be
come in
the
and fix it.
bearer of news on that one.
Marguerite and I can follow up with Jane, and Jane Osborne, not Jane Davis, and we'll just reiterate the vote. The vote stands from the last meeting. I just wanted to give you all of the information before we proceeded with removal. So it has been there. Essentially, it's been there an extra month because I had to come
Okay,
back
so
to
here's
you
my
guys.
question.
Yeah.
Karen Anglam's Bloodmobile, is that a Red Cross Bloodmobile?
No, it works with the Red Cross, but it's through a hospital, I believe. So it's not a direct Red Cross
Is
thing,
it-
but it's not like we're not assisting the Red Cross. We're doing mobile blood drives here too. So again, we're going to continue doing those. We just booked them for all of 2025. So I think we're trying here. We just don't talking to DPW about whether or not we could have a permanent
Mhm.
concrete platform there. To be honest, this is not something I want to spend my time and energy
We're
on
not
trying to
talking
figure
to
out.
DPW about a
Yeah.
concrete
Yeah.
platform, no.
No,
No,
and the whole idea
agreed.
of a concrete platform is just not my idea of what we want to look at, but
Yeah.
electric chargers, maybe this is a conversation later. Okay, so we'll deal with that later. Now,
I think the electric charger should be
other-
at the townhouse too, but anyway.
they don't have enough parking spaces to do, but we're going to lose parking spaces.
Nor do we.
No
Yeah.
kidding. Anyway, yes, a conversation for later. Okay, Ryan, what else do we need to know?
Nothing, just some updates on applying for grants. It's sort of grant application season for a lot of our regular people. So we've applied for some grants. We may apply for one or two more. But we are, hopefully we'll get some good news in the next couple months and that the grant awards were coming out. If the grants don't happen, and some of the projects we want to fund don't have grant support, I may come back to all of you and see if we can allocate either donation money or state aid into those programs if there's a funding issue. So I don't anticipate, I think a lot of the grants are going to come through, but I just wanted to kind of mention that. I like to let you guys know when we're doing work on grants. And it really has been Mariana, Kim, and myself. We've all been applying. So there's multiples this year. So that's it for a director's report.
Okay,
May I make
expense
another
report. Okay,
comment
Jane, go ahead.
before we move on?
I'm
And I
sorry.
know I was on the agenda, but just we kind of covered the grounds report. But I'm sort of at a loss for ideas, except emails, because some of those things were very important. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
You have a checklist of things that you're waiting for?
Yes, I sent that out, I think, before our last meeting, but yes, I can send it
Yeah, I
again.
mean, all you could do, I'd put a checklist, expected completion date, send it to him and see if he agrees and, try to get the
Well, we
conversation.
did that in July, and he immediately wrote back and said which tasks were allocated to DPW and to J&J Landscaping. And I think I already said this, they did one thing, which was to take out the dead tree, but
Yeah.
they never took the stump out.
I think you have to
all the
just, like every couple of weeks, send another thing and ask for an update.
Okay, does anyone have any other ideas? Because I'm already doing that.
Okay. You could contact JJ Landscaping and see if they've actually been given any assignments.
Ooh,
I mean, I do
would
think that DPW has probably communicated this to J&J, and I think maybe J&J hasn't followed up. A lot of the pending items were J&J items. I mean, the one idea I can give you, Jane, is that we could invite Bill to a future trustees meeting, or we could try to set another in-person meeting with him where maybe we go to DPW because he came to the library. But I don't know if that is either of those is something you want to pursue.
Can I just jump in here for a second? I can talk to him, but I think what the situation is with the DPW right now is they have a number of brush fires in the town in terms of roads and stuff that they're working to put out. They have a number of culverts in town are collapsing because they were built 40 or 50 years ago with steel, corrugated pipe, and they've all rotted out. And it's road flooding. It's a mess. It's requiring a lot of kind of energy at this point because the roads flood when the culverts collapse. So I think he's got. I think DPW has a lot that's going on right now with just simply a highway maintenance and road structure. However, what I would say is the things that are urgent to be done before the weather turns, I would simply put those high priority. I can go and talk to Bill and tell him, the amount of frustration that things aren't getting done. Is there well, we're looking at the woods need to be cleaned up, right? The woods
well,
need
the
to be
woods
cleaned up.
is apparently the dump site for whatever lawn debris
Yep.
that they pick up, so they just put it over there.
Yep.
That was one thing I asked. Maybe they could clean that up.
If
I don't know.
I have two
if you
questions.
talk
So
to,
that's a
sorry.
J&J thing. And have you nailed J&J when they're on the property? Have you gone to talk to them?
Well, but I don't think that that's entirely appropriate, Marguerite. I think DPW is the one who's coordinating the contract. So they're going to take direction from DPW. I don't think it's a bad idea for you to go and talk to Bill, but I would encourage you to have
I
Jane there
will.
with you. I think that would probably be the best way, only because Jane has already spoken with Bill about all of these and can reiterate the priority list. I did see you, Janet. I'm sorry I cut you off.
I guess I have two questions. I know he reports directly to the board, to the select board. Right?
Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah.
So Marguerite, you might want to mention it to the select board. And if you go to talk to him with Jane, you go as a representative of both the library and the select board.
Well, how about this? I don't want to get out the heavy artillery because that can be counterproductive. Okay. I don't think
Okay,
this
well,
He's
should,
been on
I don't
board
think
for a
this is something
year,
that should
right?
escalate into that.
When did he start?
Mhm.
Did he start a year ago?
Oh,
I don't
it's
have
been
his,
about a year and 2 months, I
yeah, I
think.
don't have
Yeah,
his
Right.
so I
exact
thought,
start date.
everybody like gave him time to acclimate, all of this kind of stuff. And you talked to him in July, which was a few months ago. Uh,
I want it kind of noted that I'm not defending another department at all, but just to give you information, when we've put in requests to sometimes when we do requests to facilities, it gets done right away. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the item. Like I can tell you we have lights out in the hallway between the teen room and Eaton, and replacing the bulbs is very complicated and may require replacing the whole lighting unit. So that is like one thing that's been delayed as because of the infrastructure, right? I don't know how DPW and J&J's communicates. I don't know what the follow-up. That is something that is not really in my purview, but I can tell you when we've given items for DPW to do is that sometimes there are what I would call extensive delays in getting that done. I think you kind of have to reiterate what the priority items are and then what needs to get done right away. The list that we talked with Bill about was, I would say, it was like over 10 items. And he kind of circled back that a lot of it was J&J's responsibility. I'm assuming DPW communicated that to J&J. I think what we're seeing is a breakdown of it then not getting done. So I don't, Jane has followed up with him. I don't know what the turnaround for getting that stuff done is, but I think kind of communicating to Bill that maybe J&J hasn't taken care of some of these items is probably the next step. And then, like Janet said, trying to get a time frame for when they could be completed would be good. And it might also be helpful to identify things that might not need to get done right away, because if it's more of a time sensitive issue. But again, I'm just giving you that feedback. Sometimes Karen and I would talk about something when she was the DPW superintendent, and it was over a year before it got done. But we identified it as not a time sensitive issue, if that makes sense. But a year is a long time. And it doesn't sound like the board wants to wait. And I would identify none of the things on Jane's list are radically complicated. Maybe the stump removal would be the one thing, because I don't know if they're going to like have other stumps be removed at the same time. So that might be like on a list when they're doing like a bunch of stumps, you know?
Where's the stump? Where's the stump?
where the dead tree was removed right along 85, all those trees are going to die, or they are dying, but one of them was completely dead in July and they took it down.
Yeah, I think
just
the
look,
frustration of this too is that frustration is built up for years. And we finally like put Jane on it and she would like to get this done and yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah,
It's
I
something
just
that-
think that in terms of, I know that there's a lot of heavy grant applying. There's a lot of state stuff going on. There's requirements that are changing. Lazaro, the pavers have to come back and repave. There are residents that are unhappy with what blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of high order priority stuff with the DPW right now. What I would suggest is I will look at the list that Jane sent and what are the 4 most urgent items to get done and lean on those rather than saying, here's 10 things that we need. Stump removal, maybe it's contracted to somebody who comes around and does stumps all around the town and he's not coming for another 9 months, right?
Okay,
So
okay. Just,
it has to, yeah,
it's not life changing. It just seems that
exactly.
most of these things were not more than a couple of hours. And it seems
Yes, they're
frustrated
J&J
because
things, right?
they would be, first of all, he manages J&J. It seems like it seems pretty, if I were in that position, these would be easy to knock off. Just get them done. And then then you won't be
Mhm.
getting these annoying
Right.
emails from Jane, you know? I don't know, next
So
time you
here,
come, take
annoying
that
Jane.
load of, debris with you. How hard is that? Anyway, I will stop talking now.
Yeah, I know, I know. So here's the drill. Can you give me your list of 10? And I know you sent it and it's buried somewhere on my computer. List of 10. Maybe you and I could talk afterwards. You can give me what you think are the most pressing
Okay,
that would
no, I
keep
think
everyone's blood
no.
pressure down if they
Don't
were
take your
done.
time to
And
do
then
this. Again, this isn't
no,
this.
no, and I will
You
go and I
already
will
made
say,
the point
what do
that
I
this
need
is
to do to
not high
make this happen?
priority.
Whose arm do I
No,
need to
I don't,
twist, right?
but,
No,
So,
but
it's not,
Jane,
it's not like repaving the roads. It's not with your time, Marguerite, as a select person to follow up on it. I'm just telling you that what I set out to do has not been accomplished. It's frustrating, but no, it's not changing anything. So no, you're not gonna go do that. I understand that there are other more pressing things in the town, and let's just put it to bed.
they're huge. And the other thing is that has happened, Jane, is that he was desperately in need of an engineer, of which there was none there, and they just hired one because the workload was huge, and there was no one with engineering background aside from Bill that was like dealing with the bulk of that. So that person's now in training. It should get better. So I don't mind going there and with my list of things and saying, how can we make this happen now? So
I don't want to minimize the importance of this, Jane, and that you and I both spent our time walking around with him identifying the issues.
yes,
I
exactly.
think it would be good if Marguerite did have a conversation with him. And again, I would encourage you, Marguerite, to have Jane with you. I think if both of you went and the rest of the board is okay with that, that is a path forward. I think you can try to maybe resolve some of the issues, or if there are things that are going to extend the time frame for whatever reason, maybe that can be better communicated so that we can manage our own expectations on the completion of this work. I would echo what Jane said. I don't think any of this is radically complicated to get done. So I
I'm
would
sorry,
also,
guys. I have to duck out for 2 seconds. I've got people here that need to get into the basement. Be right back.
well, I mean, I was kind of tasking Marguerite to do something, I guess, so I don't.
Let's move on. I think we've beat that
Okay,
Beat this one to death.
to death.
yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Okay, what else we got?
That's
Director contract to library director.
Oh, that is going to be a brief conversation because I'm focused on writing the strategic plan right now. I have not made any forward momentum on that. I did get a copy of the finance director's contract from the town. My next step was going to be in trying to get a few examples of other library director contracts. I don't have those yet. So I'm going to just keep working on this on the background, if that's okay. And then I will give you an update as soon as I have one. But just, I also, we'll see, because if we get into the construction program, I'm going to have to try to do that and the contract. So I don't know, maybe it's biting off more than I can chew, but I'm planning on working on this. I keep it on the agenda just so that we can check in about it and then I can kind of document and hold myself to a standard on trying to work on it.
Question, Ryan, are you getting any pushback on doing this? My understanding is that this is thoroughly appropriate, and that doesn't mean that you don't have a lot of work to do to pull it off, but are you getting any pushback on this?
No, to be honest, I spoke with Mark and Vanessa and Brian on the town side, and they were all very supportive and helpful with providing background information. I think Mark did just check the Mass General Law where it stated that library directors can have a contract with town council, and it was reviewed, like it's legally permissible.
Yeah.
So, no, there hasn't been any pushback that I'm aware of, but also I haven't spoken to like the personnel board about this. And then I have had some preliminary conversations because right now I'm an SAP representative on the town's insurance advisory committee, which is informal, but I can't do that anymore if I'm not an SAP employee. I could go to the meetings, but I can't represent SAP employees. And I'm also the SAP representative on the sick bank. So I found there are people who are interested in taking over those duties if I were to leave. So I guess I did work on this a little bit because I wanted to make sure that if I left some of the SAP stuff I'm involved in, that an SAP employee would take it over. And in both cases, the answer is yes. So I feel more comfortable moving forward with finding out more information about a contract. But also I have to work on this, and I haven't in the last month. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay.
We just talked about the contract.
Yep, got it. Sorry, I'm having power outages in the house, so we're dealing with that right now at the same time. Sorry. Anyway, a public comment. Deb, you're here.
No. Sorry.
Uh-oh,
We didn't talk about
uh-oh.
we didn't talk about the volunteer
I'm out of
policy at
sync.
all, which is the biggest part of this meeting.
Go for it.
So,
Okay, so you guys got a draft of a volunteer policy.
Right.
I'm sorry, my internet is still cutting out. I'm missing half of everybody's sentences. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, Marguerite.
yes, we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's there's two application forms at the end. Application form 1 is a retool of the application form that came with the policy that we sort of revised. Application form 2 is one Mariana found that she likes for teens in particular. Most of the volunteer requests we're getting and we're implementing are with younger kids. My question, so I have a couple questions and a couple issues to bring to you guys about this, is do we want one application form, or do we want an application form for adults and an application form for teens?
I think whatever works best for you. It seems appropriate that there could be two.
Okay,
Yeah, I would think, I agree with that. I don't see why,
Mhm.
unless it's unwieldy, but yes, I agree with that.
okay. Because we could use, honestly, we could have both application forms as part of the policy and kind of use the second one more for younger kids.
Yeah.
Do we want,
I think that works.
okay. Do we want to require a parent or guardian signature for every volunteer under 18?
Certainly under 16, maybe. But I don't know whether you want to have two different.
So why not
documents.
why not? Yeah.
Yeah, what would be the,
I mean, like for work permits, at least you used to. It's been a while since my kids were there. For work permits, you have to get parent
Okay.
signatures for under 16.
yeah,
I think you have to do it for anybody under 18, Janet. I'm
No.
pretty sure.
You
The
need a work
threshold,
permit for
So then
16.
that's the answer. Yeah.
the threshold for the work permit changing, I can tell you, like the amount of hours and the time that the kids can work, if they're 14, they have to be 14 to work here. And then for 14 and 15, they can't work past 7 o'clock. So you are right, when they turn 16, is that some of the rules change. I believe a parent signature is required because they need working papers if they're in school, and a parent signature is required on that. And they get those from the guidance office, so they have to talk to the
At the
school about it
school,
as well. Yeah.
Work permits have always been through the school systems, which always seemed weird to me.
We have not been requiring a parent or guardian signature for teen volunteers now, generally because some of the teen volunteers are doing a service hour requirement, and they come here for like 2 or 3 hours and then they're done because they fulfilled the requirement. This has also kind of changed a lot because Trotter now requires all of the students at Trotter to do some sort of volunteer service requirement.
Oh.
So we've been inundated with kids who have needed to get this done. And Mariana was concerned about the added layer of getting a parental signature. But what I have sort of circled back with her is that many libraries require this. And I just want to be mindful of not creating an additional barrier for her. But at the same time, I feel like if it's a minor, we probably should be getting a parent or guardian signature. So I don't know. I don't think there's a legal requirement that we have to. So it's really up to you guys whether or not we do or we do not.
I think I think we had to do that when I did volunteer stuff. Part of it is just making sure parents are aware, because generally they're the ones going to be transporting the kids. So I
Right.
think it's a
I think we should do
twofold.
it too.
Well,
Okay.
and you also don't know what might be going on with that family or interpersonal relationships with other people who may be people they don't want their kid with, or, I think it's just safer to have a parent involved.
Okay.
All right. Do we need to vote?
You need to, well, so I think
guess you'll change it.
the policy is still in draft form. So I don't
Yeah.
think we should vote on it this time. I think we should review some of these changes. And again, I have additional feedback to provide to you. So I spoke with Diana Tremblay, who is the heads up the book sales, because this is going to affect potentially gardeners who work on the grounds, as well as book sale volunteers. Mary was at the Friends meeting, and I did talk to Beth about this, so I'll reiterate some of Beth's concerns next. But Diana was not at that meeting, and I spoke with her. The one thing, Diana, this made sense to her, I would say, from a logistics standpoint as to why we're going in this direction. What Diana requested is that I guess the schools do Corey and Sorry checks annually. What I would like to do is, because we can keep the information on file in my office, is I would like when volunteers, because a lot of the book sale volunteers are recurring, they come every book sale, or they miss one, but then they're at the next book sale, is that we Corey and Sorry check our volunteers once, and then that's it.
They used to last for 3 years.
I agree.
Corey did.
They
So-
do last, yeah. They last that long.
I just wanted to offer two things. So the schools have us redo them every 2 years.
Oh,
But
2 years.
to offer a different example, for scouting, Girl Scouts, it's every 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know what prompts that distinction. Maybe Amy knows, I'm not sure, but I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know how that influences the frequency of what Ryan might need to do.
I wonder if the goal with the schools is the kids were changing every 2 years, so they may have just expected you to do it. As you change schools, but I don't know why one is one and one is the other.
Probably
you
could be a
have it for
state
each
mandate
school.
also.
I mean, I had years when I had kids in 3 different schools. I didn't have to do 3 different Corey forms.
No, it's a single form.
no.
It's a single form for the whole school system, but you do
Right.
have to re-up it every 2 years.
Yeah.
I think they're good for at least 3 years in the system, so.
Well, what do we want? Should we do every 3? I
gonna be
think
the
3
easiest
years
thing
is
to
when they do it,
manage?
when it's considered that your old Corey expired. Yeah,
What's going to be
it's
the
gonna
easiest
be
thing
a
for you to
pain in the neck.
manage? Ryan?
Not doing it, but no, I'm kidding. If we do it every 3 years, that's easier than every 2, to be honest. So maybe we should go with that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Beth wanted me how to summarize Beth's concerns.
I
Beth wanted
Beth
me,
who?
is
Who's Beth?
Beth Mello, the president of the Friends of the Southborough Library. She wanted to mention that this affects the Friends in a substantial way. And that she asked if we could not have it in effect for this upcoming Heritage Day, only because they haven't communicated that to any of the book sale volunteers. So I said the volunteer policy was in process and that we need to review it at least over 2 meetings so that it wouldn't be in effect this book sale, but it would most likely be in place and policy by the June book sale of next year. Is there anything I'm forgetting, Mary?
Well, so we just two things related to that there is also sometimes there's a December book sale that this might also affect. And just to provide a little more context here, in any given book sale, there is like a team of people that simply shows up to set up and break down. And those, I don't know that, I'm sure Diana knows roughly like who she's expecting for that. But Beth's point was that those people on every Heritage Day, those people know that the library is going to need help setting up and taking down, and they kind of just come for that purpose. So I think her fear was that if we don't nab those people in advance, they won't be able to perform that service that day. I think Ryan can eliminate that fear to an extent by this year taking names and numbers for people and then running their queries for the next, letting them know that he's going to run them for the next time.
Or hand out the query forms for them to fill out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have them
Easier.
there.
So how
before.
much does a Cory check cost, Ryan?
It's free.
Okay, and how much of your time does it take?
Not that long, actually. Once I have the information, it
Okay.
probably will take people, I would say less than 5 minutes, probably closer to like a minute or 2 minutes to fill out the form. And then logging into the online system and placing the request is about the same amount of time. It's as data entry. And then it pings a database and then gives me results. It has done that on the weekend. So I don't think I think what happens is I send the information through the system and then I get it back usually within an hour. I know that the schools have said it takes longer.
2 weeks.
So 2 weeks. I don't know why they say that. I don't know if it's
I don't know what's
because-
happening here.
It's the balloons.
I don't know what that was. I have no idea what that was.
I want to find out how to do that.
That's
I-
cool.
We
I
all
like
want
I don't know
that.
what that was.
I know. So here's the question: is it gonna create bad will toward the library book sale if everyone who shows up to carry a carton of books has this Cory thing handed at them?
No,
You know, I mean,
it's not.
I think
It's
you
like
hand them
your
a
idea,
form and
Jen,
say
of
this
just
is
handing
going
out
to
the
be
form,
required.
but what is
Sure.
the
It's routine.
subtext on that?
Nothing. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
and I know a lot of
Okay.
I'm actively, many of you know this, but I'm actively at the book sales during setup and often during breakdown as well. I think I've been at,
the same people.
yeah, it's the same people's, and many of them are people that I
Right.
know. I will say we probably would not Cory and story check the people who helped us bring in the books last minute from the flood because there was or the rain. There was rain last time, and like literally patrons were just bringing books into the building. They weren't really volunteering. They were kind of helping us with an emergency situation. So I would say that is an example of where we wouldn't. When we have people who want to just come to do setup, though, we also have teams who are helping do that. The whole idea behind why we're doing this is because we want to make sure that people are Cory and story checked because of their proximity to children. And even if they're 16 or 17, they're minors, I would feel more comfortable with getting those people checked. And I told Beth that. So I talked to Diana about this. She doesn't anticipate a problem, especially if we do some of the Cory checks at this upcoming book sale, even though it won't be a requirement. So that is kind of my plan, to do it on Heritage Day. And then it will take time. I don't want to minimize that, but I don't think that this is going to be a substantial issue.
And I would just also add that I think most people who are interested in helping out at any of these events tend to be regular library folks who can stop in at any time and fill out one of these at the front, at the circulation desk well in advance of whatever event they're going to be volunteering for and just to have on file.
I
Well,
think you
and
should be
consider-
prepared that people are gonna say, oh, I did this at the school, or I
Go
did this
ahead,
way.
Janet,
But
and then Jane.
Yeah, they have to do it with me again because I don't
Right.
have access to the information at the schools. But
no,
I
and you
will
always have
say,
to do, yeah, if you do
Yeah.
scouts in school, you have to do 2. If you do church in school, you have to do 2. So it's, yeah.
Beth was concerned that people would show up and then not have the query check done, and then we would turn them away. So I would just say, if somebody fills out the form and I'm able to go up and, enter it in and then wait on results, is that especially at this upcoming Heritage Day, I'm inclined to let them volunteer. I mean, there won't be a policy yet, but is that if people didn't know, I don't want to turn people away. I would just say we need to try to get this done ASAP, so then I can clear you to volunteer.
I
So as long
mean,
as that's okay.
If this whole volunteer thing hadn't been brought up until December, everybody would have been there and they've been non-quarried for the past
Right.
few
Yeah.
years, right? So I think it's fine. I mean, I want everybody to get quarried, but I think this is just a glitch in the timeline that is totally natural in trying
I
to
did-
instate something.
And I wanted to mention, I spoke with Pam LaFrancois at the senior center because I assumed that the senior tax write-off volunteers get query checked, and they don't. So we'll have to do that with our current one as well. So I'm gonna sit down and tell them that that's just our policy now for doing it at the library. If they have a senior tax write-off volunteer at the school, I guess the school does it. So they don't have that many there, and they don't have that many here, but it's gonna be the same requirement for all volunteers, so. Okay, well, I'll come back with a revised version because the application form 1 at the back end of the policy relates specifically to needing a parent or a child volunteer. We can make that more of an adult oriented form. And then I need to add the language about the query and sorries being done every 3 years. That's not currently in the policy as well. So it'll be slight revisions to the policy, but if you guys haven't read it, Mariana did substantial edits to it to make it friendly both to teen and tween volunteers. We wanted it to be applicable to middle school kids because we're getting a lot of trottier students who are walk here after school or here during half days and who want to participate in some of the programs. So the other pending question was, should we have 2 separate policies? Because Mariana kind of brought that up. Should we do an adult volunteer policy, teen volunteer policy? And I don't think we should. And Mariana has since, I think, come around to my feeling on it after having input on editing the policy, is that while I think 2 application forms might be appropriate, I think there should be 1 central policy and it's 2 pages. So it's a bigger one than we have for some other things. I think 1 policy is the way we want to go with this. That's my feedback.
Do you want edits sent to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys have any feedback on the policy itself and you want to review it, or you have just anything, grammar, whatever, you can send that to me and I'll integrate any feedback you guys have in the revised policy that includes the 3-hour language and the revised application forms.
Okay.
Does that sound good? And then we'll look at this again in October. Okay.
That sounds good. And Ryan, where is the collection of names who have been quarried kept?
So I'm gonna have like a database I create, and it's gonna be accessible to Kim, myself, and Mariana initially. So I think I may keep it just to the 3 of us, if that's okay. I think that because the other thing is if a query comes back and the person doesn't pass the query, I want to keep that confidentiality. Does that make sense? I don't think I don't think we need to publicize if somebody didn't pass.
Right, I agree.
But if they don't pass, we'll have to,
Right, so that at least,
they won't be able to volunteer.
Mhm.
So,
Well, that's the whole point.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, at the
right,
friend,
and
at
I'm
the-
just wondering,
what, at the Friends meeting, it was noted that what if somebody like had been convicted of a crime like, 20, 30 years ago and wanted a second chance? And should we consider that? And my feedback was that the schools don't allow it, so neither should we. I think we're trying to be consistent with the way that the schools do it. So I think that there are other volunteer opportunities. I can refer people who don't pass the Corey to, but we wouldn't, again, because we have kids here and we want to try to be as secure as we can in protecting everybody. I just, if they don't pass it, they can't volunteer here. I think that has to be our position.
I think you stick with whatever the Corey regulations are. There may be a statute of limitations on that stuff into the system. I don't know. So yeah, I would just stick with whatever they require.
I like that, Janet. So I'll look into that as well, and I'll make sure that we're consistent with it. I think once we pass a policy, we can stick with whatever we want, but as long as the policy relates to it. But I like kind of going by the statute of limitations for the Commonwealth. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was expecting you guys to say more, I guess, about this, but you'll be able to review it and send
It's
edits.
a great write-up. It's a great policy.
Jane
Thanks,
has her
everyone.
hand up.
No,
Jane?
no, it's unrelated. I thought we were done. I think you did a great job. There's not much to say about it. I don't see a whole lot.
Yeah, Mariana deserves a lot of credit too. She really did take a couple passes at it, and I think
Thank you, Mariana.
it's a stronger document as a result. So,
No, I
All
have a
right, now can
comment
I
on
take
something
public
else.
comment?
Oh,
well, no,
Go ahead,
I
Jane.
think Jane
No,
wanted to
one-
say something, and then we
I
can
have
go.
late breaking news. I just received an email from Bill Cundiff that says I'll have it cleaned up by 10/1. Now,
Hey.
it wasn't specified, but
To
it's
one
a
of our
start.
people watching.
I don't know. We're just dissing him, but so maybe he was watching. I hope not, but
Wondering.
maybe we'll get some things taken care of. So it's all good. It's
Great.
as they say,
Okay,
it's
so
all
let's wait and
good,
see
right?
what happens. Good.
We'll see.
All right.
Could I just add one more thing too? I just wanted everybody to know, in case it's helpful for you to know, I'm going to mess up the acronym, but I think it's the Massachusetts Board of Trustees Association or Library Board of Trustees Association. I joined it as a new member, and I will be attending their conference at the Shrewsbury Library on October 19th. So if anybody is going or needs, I don't know, need to review anything about that, or just wanted you all to know.
And I'm
It's
presenting too there, so I'll see you there as well.
Yay.
yeah. So Amy and Mary are both talking about the Massachusetts Library Trustee Association, which is a group that I think it's specific to Massachusetts, right? It's just an association for library trustees. They do an annual meeting. It is typically at Shrewsbury. They've done it there for several years. So I will say this is an awesome opportunity to go see the Shrewsbury Library if you guys haven't and you want an excuse, right? The meeting will be on Saturday, October 19th. So it's next month, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it's on a Saturday morning. And then Amy will actually be one of the presenters there. So if you guys want to go and support Amy as Donnie, that's a good excuse. And Mary, I think Mary is planning on attending too. I don't believe you have to be a member to attend the conference, but I do think there's a slight cost to attend the conference. I think that's how they pay. No? Oh, Mary's saying no.
Nope.
So it's straight
I
up.
think the membership is what pays for the conference, but I don't think you have to be a member to sign up and go.
Yeah, I remember you don't have to be a member because I did ask that question recently.
And I
So
think lunch is coming from Pickle House is what they said, so.
there's usually a really good lunch.
Amy,
I'll
what are
say
you
that.
presenting?
Communication for trustees.
Yeah, they're
Nice.
talking about advocacy, it's library advocacy. So the presentation is called Communication, Your Essential Library Advocacy Tool. And they did reach out to Amy as a potential speaker. So I think she's one of a few people who's going to be talking
I
on
think
that
there's
topic.
3 of us, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
If
All right,
any I was just gonna say if Sam or Deb want to talk for public comment, because Marguerite's tried to move to that multiple times, just raise your hand and I can bring you over.
I feel so bad for them. Okay. Deb or Sam, do you have any words for us? No raised hands. Okay. Then I won't feel so guilty for having an hour and 15 minutes that they patiently watched. All right, do I have a motion? Oh, set our next
fascinating
date.
meeting.
Our next date will be the 30th of September, right?
Yeah.
Are we
and
going to
then
set a date for November now?
Probably good.
October? I think
October.
October, right?
Yeah.
October.
Do you want to do the 21st of October? That's the third week.
Okay.
For some reason, I have it down for the
So-
23rd that week. Did we already specify something?
That's a Wednesday, though, right?
I
For
know.
October.
Okay, let me just get rid of that. Okay.
So the
20
21st
good.
work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
11?
All right, and we can set the
11.
November meeting when we get to October. Yep, 11 on Zoom. All right, any other, David, you've been very quiet.
I've been fully participating in my quietness, I can tell you.
All right, okay, good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so motioned.
Second?
Okay, and do I have a second? All right, that's Amy and Janet, and Landry, aye.
Yes, Donnie, I.
Cindy, I.
Eckberg,
David's
aye.
eye.
Maney, aye.
Okay, there we go. All right, thank you, everybody, and I'll see everyone except Janet on the, where are we?
30th.
The 30th.
30th, yep.
Janet, is that
meeting
gonna be
was-
Vermont? Are you going to Vermont?
No, I'm going to be in Ireland.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yay,
Um,
okay,
for the,
even better.
sorry, for the minutes, the meeting was adjourned at 12:22 p.m. Sorry, I need to
Thank
start
you.
doing that for Mariana. Sorry.
So Ryan, you're going to send that thing out,
Okay, all right.
the draft on the 24th, the evening of the 24th.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday because I work Tuesday night. So
Okay.
the 20, maybe is that why you had the 20th written down? It's September 24th. So I should get you a draft before it'll go out like before 9 because that's when I
Okay.
leave. So
I
I'm
leave,
gonna,
yeah, I leave Wednesday evening. So if we need to talk, it's got to be during that day.
yes. And then the only thing that might, because this is relevant to all of you, I know we just adjourned, but the document I'm gonna send out may not have all the appendices integrated into the document. The final version will, it'll be PDFs, but I know like MLS, he had a fancy background and a cover page. So I've got to try to integrate that into the Word document. And sometimes that's a little tricky. So I do that kind of at the end. But I might have a final draft. I'm really going to work on it this week. And then Monday and Tuesday are going to be my wrap up days. So if I get done earlier, I will send it earlier. And I would say we're probably halfway done, like more than that. So you'll get something soon. And then if I can give you more time, Janet, to review it, I will try to make that happen. Okay.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Sorry. That was
All right.
my last spiel.
We're done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.